Romeo and Juliet, one of Shakespeare's classics. And on this particular cover, illustration shows a bottle of poison. Very appropriate, because as we know, Romeo committed suicide. The question is, with what? Well, we can make an argument for aconite. Shakespeare actually mentions aconite in Henry IV, which is another play, and the symptoms described in Romeo's death are very similar to what happens when you are poisoned with aconite. And what is aconite? Well, you probably know it as monkshood, a plant, a very, very pretty plant. Why is it called monkshood? Because if you take a look at the shape of the plant, it looks like a monk wearing a hood. There are a large number of compounds, of course, present in this plant. One of them, aconitine, is the one that is highly toxic. Well, of course, it's interesting to talk about it in terms of Shakespeare's plays, but that is fiction. What about real life? We do have, unfortunately, murders carried out with aconite in real life. Here's a classic one. This takes us back to 1986. This was in Japan, when a man did away with his wife using aconite. However, there were some mysteries surrounding this particular case, because although it was pretty clear that she had been poisoned with aconite, the trouble was that she hadn't seen her husband for over 2 hours. And aconite is a very quickly acting poison. So the question is, how was she poisoned when she had no contact with the husband? Well, it turned out, upon investigation, that the husband actually had purchased plants, and he admitted to having purchased those plants. He said he'd like to experiment with plants, but he had also purchased some puffer fish. In Japan, puffer fish is used as a delicacy known as fugu, but that fish contains a toxin called tetrodotoxin, and that is extremely, extremely toxic. Well, the husband actually admitted buying some puffer fish as well, because he experimented with poison. He admitted that, but because he had had no contact with the wife for such a long time, he was curious, how did she get the aconite into her body? Well, this is where the story becomes very interesting, because research showed that tetrodotoxin, the poison in the pufferfish, actually retards the activity of aconitine. And it is an antagonist to that compound. So it took some time for the poison to have its effect, because its effect was retarded with the tetrodotoxin. Now, the husband never admitted putting both of those into her food, but chances are that that is exactly what happened. But interestingly enough, he may not have known that this was going to happen. He was probably just trying to kill her off more quickly. He wanted a double dose of poisons so that she would succumb. But as luck would have it, it took hours until the poison took effect. Nevertheless, the jury was convinced of his crime, and he was committed to life in prison. So now you know something about the effects of monkshood. Very, very interesting. But there's something else about this plant. It's also known as wolfbane. And the reason for that is that classically it has been used to poison meat put out for wolves to try to control the wolf population. And finally, wolfbane also supposedly keeps werewolves away. So that if you are worried about being approached by a werewolf, you just get yourself a few sprigs of wolfbane and no more problem.